195 workers, dead, 4.75 miles, through solid granite, 24 years, 1851 to 1875. The Hoosac Tunnel, western Massachusetts, North Adams to Florida. They called it the Bloody Pit. Workers died from explosions, from falling rock, from drowning in flooded shafts, from nitroglycerin accidents, from being trapped 600 feet underground with no escape. 13 men died in a single day. October 17, 1867. A candle ignited 'neath the fumes. Explosion destroyed the hoist, trapped them below. The shaft flooded. They built a raft, tried to survive, died from asphyxiation. It took a year to reach their bodies. The project cost $21 million. Original estimate, $2 million. Original timeline, 4 years. Actual timeline, 24 years. The critics called it the Great Bore. The workers called it the Bloody Pit. It was the first large-scale use of nitroglycerin in American construction, the first use of electric blasting caps, the first use of pneumatic drills. Technology advanced because men kept dying because technology wasn't ready. This is the story of how America blasted through a mountain and how 195 workers paid with their lives. January 1851. The Troy and Greenfield Railroad breaks ground. The goal, connect Boston to Albany and points west. The obstacle, Hoosac Mountain. The Berkshires, solid granite. The solution, tunnel straight through, 4.75 miles. The longest tunnel in North America, second longest in the world when completed. The initial plan seems reasonable. Hire experienced miners, use proven techniques, black powder, hand drilling, work from both ends simultaneously, meet in the middle, simple. 4 years, $2 million, done. Except nothing is simple. The mountain is harder than expected. The rock is tougher, denser, more resistant. The tunnel boring machine, Wilson's patented stone-cutting machine, fails after 10 feet. 10 feet. Out of 25,000 feet needed. The machine is abandoned, becomes scrap. Workers revert to hand methods, picks, shovels, hand drills, black powder when they can afford it. Progress slows, crawls, nearly stops. By 1856, 5 years in, they've excavated maybe 1,000 feet total from both ends combined. 24,000 feet remain. At this rate, completion will take a century. The railroad company is bleeding money. Investors are panicking. The public is furious. Critics emerge. Future Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. calls it the Great Bore. Says he'd like to wall up a dozen lawyers at one end and put a good fee at the other. The joke spreads, becomes famous. The tunnel becomes a symbol of government waste, of engineering hubris, of impossible projects that should never have started. If you're the kind of person who believes these stories deserve to be remembered, hit subscribe. 195 workers died building the Hoosac Tunnel. Most are unnamed, most are forgotten. But they made modern railroad engineering possible. Subscribe if you think we should remember who paid the price for progress. 1861. Hermann Haupt is the chief engineer. He's excavated 4,250 feet, about 1/5 of the total distance. The Western Railroad, a competing line through southern Massachusetts, lobbies against state funding. Successfully. The money stops. The Troy and Greenfield Railroad can't pay, goes bankrupt, defaults on loans from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The state forecloses, takes control, Haupt leaves, becomes a Union Army railroad engineer during the Civil War. Rises to general, the tunnel project stops, completely, for nearly 2 years. The workers disperse, find other jobs, other tunnels, other ways to survive. The partially completed holes in Hoosac Mountain sit empty, filling with water, collapsing in sections, losing progress. In 1862, Massachusetts realizes the investment is too large to abandon, decides to restart. Sends engineer Charles Storrow to Europe to study modern tunneling techniques. He learns about nitroglycerin, about compressed air, about new drilling methods. Returns with knowledge, with techniques that might work, might make the impossible possible. In 1863, Alva Crocker becomes superintendent of railroads. Thomas Doane becomes chief engineer. Work restarts. With new techniques, new equipment, new dangers. The death toll begins. The work is brutal from the start. Miners drill holes by hand. Steel drills, hammers, sledgehammers. One man holds the drill, rotates it slightly after each strike. Another man swings the hammer. 8-pound sledge, strikes the drill head, drives it deeper. Strike, rotate, endless repetition, hours to drill a single hole, 18 inches deep, 2 inches wide. The holes are for black powder. Pack it in, tamp it tight, insert fuse, light it, run. The explosion is small, controlled. Breaks maybe a cubic yard of rock, must be cleared, hauled out, loaded into carts, pushed to the tunnel entrance, dumped, then start again, drill more holes. Another blast, another cubic yard. The progress is measured in feet per week, sometimes feet per month. The conditions are hellish, dark, wet, cold in winter, suffocating in summer, no ventilation, smoke from blasting fills the tunnel, hangs for hours. Workers breathe it, cough constantly, develop lung problems, silicosis, black lung, respiratory failure. Many die years later from diseases contracted in the tunnel. Those deaths don't count in the official toll. Only deaths on site get recorded. Sometimes. Let's examine the drilling process in detail. The drill holder positions himself, kneeling usually, or crouching. One hand grips the drill, the other steadies it, guides it. The drill is maybe 4 feet long, steel rod, sharpened cutting edge, weighs maybe 10 pounds. The holder's job requires absolute concentration, absolute steadiness. The hammer striker stands over him, raises the 8-pound sledge, aims carefully, swings down, strikes the drill head. The impact is tremendous. The shock travels through the steel, through the holder's hands, through his arms, into his shoulders. Every strike is jarring, painful. After hours of holding, the holder's hands are numb. His arms shake, his shoulders ache, but he must stay steady, must keep the drill positioned correctly. Any wavering, any tilt, the drill binds, gets stuck, requires extraction, lost time, lost progress, or worse, the hammer misses. Strikes the holder's hands, breaks bones, crushes fingers. This happens regularly, multiple times per week, sometimes multiple times per day. The injured man is replaced. Another holder steps up. The work continues. No pause, no sympathy, just production. Always production. The hammer striker's job is equally brutal. 8 pounds doesn't sound heavy. Try swinging it overhead. Full force, striking a target, 30 times per minute for 10 hours. The striker lifts, swings, strikes, lifts, swings, strikes. The rhythm is constant, mechanical. Break rhythm and you break productivity, or break the holder. A misstruck blow can kill. The sledge misses the drill, hits the holder's skull, instant death, or hits his shoulder, shatters the clavicle, permanent disability. The striker must maintain perfect accuracy, hour after hour, day after day, while exhausted, while breathing foul air, while working in near darkness. The candles provide minimal light, flickering, dim, creating more shadows than illumination. The striker aims by feel, by experience, by muscle memory, and prays he doesn't miss. Because missing means someone dies. Maybe the holder, maybe himself if the holder's replacement seeks revenge. The granite is incredibly hard, harder than any rock most miners have encountered. Each hole requires maybe 500 to 800 hammer strikes. At 1 strike per 2 seconds, optimistic pace, that's 16 to 26 minutes per hole. For an 18-inch hole. The depth advances maybe 1/8 inch per strike initially. Slows to 1/16 inch as depth increases. The drill dulls, loses edge, requires sharpening. The striker and holder must stop, walk to the forge, heat the drill, hammer it sharp, return, resume. The sharpening takes maybe 15 to 30 minutes, every few holes. The total time to drill a single blast pattern, maybe 8 to 10 holes, is 6 to 8 hours. One full shift, just drilling, not blasting. And not removing rock, just making holes. The next shift blasts, clears, starts drilling again. Progress is measured in inches per shift, maybe a foot on a good day, with no accidents, no equipment failures, no rock-ins, no injuries. Good days are rare. The temperature varies wildly. In winter, near the tunnel entrances, temperatures drop below freezing. Workers see their breath. Ice forms on the walls, on tools, on equipment. Hands become numb. Fingers stop working properly. Grip weakens. Accidents increase. Men drop drills, drop hammers, drop loads. Injuries multiply. In summer, deep in the tunnel, temperatures exceed 100 degrees. The air is still. No circulation, no breeze. Workers sweat constantly, dehydrate. Water barrels are stationed throughout. But the water is warm, stagnant, often contaminated. Drinking it causes dysentery, causes cholera, causes death. Not drinking it causes heat exhaustion, causes death faster. Men choose between slow death and fast death. Most choose slow, hope they survive long enough to escape, to quit, to find better work. Few do. The humidity is constant. Groundwater seeps through granite, drips, runs down walls, creates puddles, creates mud. The tunnel floor is never dry, never solid. Workers stand in water, in mud, for entire shifts. Their boots rot, their feet rot. Trench foot is universal. Infections are common. Gangrene develops. Toes are amputated. Feet are amputated. Legs are amputated. Or men die from sepsis, from infection spreading. The company provides no medical care, no doctor, no nurse, just a first aid kit, bandages, whiskey for sterilization, for pain management, for everything. When serious injuries mean transportation to town, to North Adams or Florida. The journey takes hours, on rough roads, in wagons, no suspension. Every bump is agony. Many die en route, never reaching the doctor. Those who reach the doctor often die anyway. Infection, shock, blood loss. Medicine in 1860s, rural Massachusetts is primitive. Amputation is the solution for most problems. Amputation without anesthesia usually. Just whiskey. Just leather to bite. Just screaming. The explosives work is the most dangerous. Black powder is relatively predictable. But mistakes kill. A spark near powder means explosion, means death. Workers smoking pipes. Candles too close. Metal tools striking rock and creating sparks. All causes of accidental detonation. The blast is usually small, localized. Kills maybe 1 or 2 men, injures others. The bodies are often intact, can be recovered, can be identified, can be returned to families, can be buried properly. This is better than alternatives, than being buried under rockfalls, than disappearing into flooded shafts, than being sealed in collapsed sections. Identifiable bodies are merciful. Relatively, the fuses are notoriously unreliable. Burn rates vary, sometimes burn fast, sometimes slow, sometimes stop burning, appear to go out, then reignite. This is deadly. A worker approaches, checks the hole, tries to see if the fuse failed. The fuse reignites, detonates. The worker is killed, blown apart, pieces scattered, no body to recover, no remains to bury, just blood, just fragments, just a name struck from the payroll. Tamping powder into drill holes is dangerous work. The powder is poured in, then tamped, compressed, using iron tamping rods, 3 feet long, 1/2 inch diameter. The worker inserts the rod, pushes down, compacts the powder, must be careful, must be gentle. Too much pressure, the powder ignites, friction, heat, detonation. The rod becomes a projectile, fired from the hole like a rifle, impales the worker, kills him instantly. This happens multiple times during construction. The company issues warnings, tells workers to tamp gently, to use proper technique. Workers ignore the warnings, rush, cut corners, try to save time, try to increase productivity, try to earn more. Piece rates mean faster work means more money, but faster work means more risks, more accidents, more deaths. The company doesn't care. provides warnings, claims no responsibility. The workers assume the risks, chose to rush, chose to die. Their fault, not the company's. This is the legal position, the moral position, the accepted position. Nobody questions it. Nobody challenges it. Not successfully. Not in 1860s Massachusetts. The accidents start immediately. Rock falls, poorly supported tunnel sections collapse, bury workers, crush them. Recovery takes days. Bodies are mangled, unrecognizable. Families get a body. Sometimes just confirmation of death. Ladder accidents are common. The tunnels are deep, require ladders to descend, to carry equipment, to escape. The ladders are wooden, rough, slippery from moisture. Workers climb carrying heavy loads. Drill steel, hammers, powder kegs. They slip, fall, maybe 20 feet, maybe 50, maybe more. The impact kills them or cripples them. A crippled worker in 1860s Massachusetts has no future, no income, no support. Many die anyway. From complications, from infection, from despair, scaffold failures kill regularly. Workers build wooden platforms to reach tunnel ceilings, to drill overhead. The scaffolds are crude, green lumber, inadequate bracing. They collapse. Workers fall. The falling isn't what kills. The landing kills. Hard rock, no give, broken backs, shattered skulls. Instant death if you're lucky. Slow death if you're not. The black powder is dangerous, but manageable. Workers understand it, have experience, know the risks. The powder is relatively stable, requires flame to ignite, gives warning, hisses, smokes. Workers can see problems developing, can sometimes react, sometimes escape. But in 1865, everything changes. Nitroglycerin arrives, the new miracle explosive, 13 times more powerful than black powder. Can blast through granite like black powder blasts through soft stone. Speeds progress enormously, reduces drilling time, fewer holes needed, less labor, faster completion. Everyone is excited, everyone except the workers, because nitroglycerin is unstable, dangerously unstable, temperature sensitive, motion sensitive, sometimes explodes spontaneously, without cause, without warning, just detonates, kills everyone nearby. The workers are terrified. They call it explosive oil, devil's brew, death in a bottle. They're right to be afraid. March 20th, 1865. 3 men are working with nitroglycerin: Ned Brinkman, Billy Nash, Ringo Kelly. Explosives experts, supposedly. Though nobody is really an expert with nitroglycerin in 1865. The chemical has only been synthesized for 16 years. Industrial use is experimental, dangerous, mostly untested. These 3 men are learning as they work, trying to blast through a particularly tough section. They drill holes, smaller than for black powder. Nitroglycerin requires less volume, more power. They pour the oily liquid into the holes, carefully, slowly. Any splash, any spill. Could trigger detonation. They insert fuses, special fuses for nitroglycerin. Step back, light the fuses, start running. Should have 30 seconds, maybe more. Time to reach safety, round the bend, put rock between them and the blast. But something goes wrong. Maybe a fuse is too short. Maybe the nitroglycerin is too warm. Maybe Kelly makes a mistake. Lights too soon, doesn't warn the others. The explosion comes early, immediate, massive. The sound is deafening, different from black powder, sharper, more violent. The tunnel shakes. Dust and rock fill the air. When it clears, Brinkman and Nash are buried. Tons of rock, crushed, dead. Kelly is gone, fled, disappeared, vanished from the site. Rumors spread immediately. Was it an accident or murder? Did Kelly deliberately set off the charge early? Did he want them dead? Had there been arguments, disputes, money owed? Nobody knows. The investigation finds nothing. No evidence, no witnesses, just 2 dead men and 1 missing man. The company rules it accidental. Unfortunate, regrettable, but not criminal. The families get nothing. No compensation, no support, just condolences. The work continues. 10 days pass. Workers find Kelly's body deep in the tunnel, 2 miles in, almost exactly where Brinkman and Nash died. He's been strangled, manually strangled. Finger marks on his throat, clear evidence of murder. Right, but no suspect, no evidence, no motive. The case goes cold, never solved. The workers know, though. They know what happened. Brinkman and Nash returned as ghosts, got revenge, killed Kelly, strangled him, left him where they died. Justice, supernatural justice. The workers believe it. Start reporting strange sounds, moaning, groaning, voices calling out in pain, especially at night, especially deep in the tunnel, near where the 3 men died. Some refuse to enter after dark, walk off the job. The company dismisses it as superstition, fear, cowardice, hires replacement workers. The deaths continue. These men didn't have YouTube channels. They didn't have anyone telling their story. We're changing that. The workers who died in the Hoosac Tunnel built modern railroad engineering, proved what was possible, what techniques worked. Subscribe if you think we should remember them, even if we never learn their names. October 17th, 1867, the worst day. The central shaft is under construction, a vertical shaft, 1,028 feet deep when completed, currently at 583 feet. The shaft serves multiple purposes. Ventilation primarily, allows air to enter, lets smoke and gases escape, also provides a third working face. Men can descend to the bottom, tunnel horizontally. Meet the headings coming from east and west. Speeds construction. The shaft has a building at the top, contains equipment, hoist machinery, steam engines, oil lamps, gasometer, and explosives. Nitroglycerin, black powder, all stored together. Bad decision, fatal decision. That Saturday afternoon, 13 men are working at the bottom, 583 feet below the surface. They're drilling, blasting, removing rock. Normal work, dangerous but routine. Above in the surface building, workers are maintaining equipment, refilling the gasometer, a device that produces naphtha gas for lighting. The gas is flammable, volatile, leaks are common, equipment is primitive. Safety standards don't exist. Someone leaves a candle burning, unattended. The candle sits near the gasometer. Naphtha fumes leak, accumulate, invisible, heavier than air. They sink, spread, reach the candle flame, ignite. The explosion is massive. Not just the naphtha, that's just the trigger. The real explosion is the stored nitroglycerin, hundreds of pounds, maybe more, all detonate simultaneously. The building disintegrates, blown to splinters. The hoist machinery, massive iron and steel equipment, blown upward, hundreds of feet, falls back down into the open shaft. Heavy timbers, steel cables, iron buckets, drill steel, everything rains down, falls 583 feet onto the 13 men below. Some die instantly, struck by falling debris, crushed, killed immediately. Others are injured, pinned, trapped but alive. The fire spreads. The wooden cribbing lining the shaft ignites, burns furiously. Smoke pours down. Toxic gases. Carbon monoxide. The men below start suffocating, start dying. They scream for help. The workers above hear them. Can do nothing. The hoist is destroyed. The lift system is gone. No way to descend. No way to reach them. No way to rescue them. The pumps are destroyed too. Water starts filling the shaft. Groundwater, seepage. Without pumps, it accumulates, rises. The men below see it coming. Know they're doomed. Try to survive anyway. The rescue attempts are desperate, futile. Workers try to lower ropes. The shaft is too deep. The ropes aren't long enough, can't reach. They try building emergency ladders. Takes too long. The smoke is too thick. The fire is too hot. Nobody can descend. They try shouting encouragement, telling the men to hold on. Help is coming. But help isn't coming. Can't come. The men below know this. Know they're going to die. The screaming continues for hours, then stops. The silence is worse. Workers stand at the shaft, listening, hearing nothing, knowing. The water keeps rising, filling the shaft. Nobody knows how deep it gets, how high it rises, whether the men drown or suffocate first. The official record says asphyxiation, smoke and toxic gases, but some sources say drowning. Water rising, no escape. Either way, death, slow death, terrifying death. Avoidable death if safety measures existed, if explosives weren't stored with open flames, if equipment was maintained properly, if someone cared about worker safety. But nobody cares, not really. Progress matters, cost matters, schedule matters, lives don't matter. Not enough, not yet, not in 1867. 1 year passes, 13 months. The shaft is finally pumped dry, finally safe to descend. Search parties go down, find the 13 bodies, 600 feet below the surface. The bodies are in surprisingly good condition, preserved by cold water, by darkness. The rescuers find evidence the men survived for some time. They built a crude raft, logs, planks, whatever they could find, lashed together, tried to float, tried to stay above the rising water, tried to survive, but the shaft kept flooding. The water kept rising. Eventually covered everything, reached the ceiling. The men had nowhere to go, nowhere to escape. The raft failed, or they abandoned it, or the water rose too high. Either way, they died. All 13. The bodies are recovered, identified where possible, returned to families, buried. The work continues. The shaft construction continues, because stopping would waste the investment, would make their deaths meaningless. This is the logic, the justification, the rationalization. 13 men died, can't waste their sacrifice, must complete the project, must make their deaths worthwhile. So, work continues, the deaths continue, the toll keeps rising. George M. Mowbray arrives in 1867, after the Central Shaft disaster. He's a chemist, an explosives expert, actually an expert this time. He knows nitroglycerin, understands it, respects its dangers. He establishes a nitroglycerin factory on site, at the tunnel, manufactures it fresh, as needed, doesn't transport it long distances, reduces accidents. He develops new handling techniques, freezing methods. Frozen nitroglycerin is more stable, less likely to detonate accidentally, safer to transport, safer to use. He invents an electric fuse, an electric detonator, allows controlled explosions from safe distances, reduces casualties significantly, but doesn't eliminate them. The work is still dangerous, still deadly, just less deadly than before. Mowbray's innovations save lives, dozens of lives, maybe hundreds, but people still die. The mountain still kills. The tunnel still earns its nickname, the Bloody Pit. The Burley pneumatic drill arrives, Charles Burley's invention. Compressed air drill. Mechanical drilling replaces hand drilling. Speeds progress enormously. One pneumatic drill does the work of 10 men. Drills faster, deeper, more holes, more blasting, faster excavation. The technology is revolutionary, changes tunnel construction forever, makes modern projects possible. But in 1867, it's experimental, unreliable. The drills jam, break, injure operators. The compressed air systems leak, fail, explode sometimes. Workers are maimed, lose fingers, hands, arms. The technology improves, gets safer, eventually. But early adopters pay the price, in blood, in limbs, in lives. Progress requires sacrifice. The Hoosac Tunnel provides that sacrifice, unwillingly, continuously. By 1870, progress accelerates. The new techniques work: nitroglycerin blasting, pneumatic drilling, better ventilation, compressed air. The headings advance faster, feet per day instead of feet per week. The central shaft is completed, provides ventilation, improves conditions. Workers can breathe, can see, can work longer shifts. Production increases. The end becomes visible, literally. In 1873, the headings break through. East meets west, daylight visible from both ends. The tunnel is complete, structurally. Needs finishing work, lining, reinforcement, drainage. But the hard part is done. The blasting is done, the drilling is done, the dying continues though. 14 more deaths in 1874 alone, including 14-year-old Orrin Wilson, visiting his father on site. An elevator accident, the boy is killed. The father continues working, has to, needs the money, needs to feed his family. In 1878, the father dies too. Explosion. Different accident, same tunnel, same mountain, same bloodshed. The breakthrough moment in 1873 is dramatic. The eastern heading and western heading have been advancing toward each other. Surveying ensures they're aligned, theoretically. But underground surveying in 1873 is imprecise. Errors accumulate. The teams don't know if they'll meet or miss by feet or by yards. The final blast from the western heading breaks through. Suddenly, the eastern heading is visible. Daylight, actual daylight. From the other side, 4.75 miles away. The alignment is nearly perfect, off by maybe 18 inches horizontally, 6 inches vertically. Remarkable accuracy. The surveying worked, the mathematics worked, the execution worked. The workers cheer, celebrate. They've accomplished the impossible, bored through a mountain, connected 2 sides, created a tunnel, cost 195 lives. Cost $21 million, cost 24 years, but it's done, it's real, it's finished, almost. The finishing work requires another year, lining the walls, brick arches, reinforcement, drainage channels, grade work, installing track, but the dangerous work is done. The blasting is over, or mostly over. The major risks are past, mostly. 14 deaths in 1874 prove the work is still dangerous, still deadly. Orrin Wilson is 14 years old. His father works in the tunnel. Senior Wilson, experienced worker, survivor of 2 decades of construction, has seen men die, has seen horrors, but continues working, needs the income, has a family, has responsibilities. Orrin visits one day, wants to see where his father works, wants to understand the great project, the famous tunnel, the engineering marvel. His father allows it, shows him around, where he explains the work, shows him the elevator, the shaft, the machinery. A terrible mistake. The elevator malfunctions. The cable snaps or the brake fails. The cause is unclear. The effect is clear. The elevator drops, falls freely, maybe 100 feet, maybe more, crashes at the bottom. Orrin is inside, is killed, instantly crushed. The father finds him, his son, his child, dead, in the tunnel. The father blames himself. Should never have brought him, should have kept him away, should have protected him, but needed to work, needed the money, needed to provide. The guilt is crushing, overwhelming. But he continues, has to, has other children, has a wife, has obligations, returns to work. Days later, works for 4 more years, until 1878, until an explosion kills him. Some say it wasn't accidental, some say he wanted it. Wanted to join his son, wanted to end the guilt, the pain, the memories. Nobody knows. The explosion could have been accidental, probably was, but the timing seems intentional. The father and son, reunited, both killed by the bloody pit, both buried because of the tunnel, both sacrificed to progress. The strike of 1865 is significant but rarely mentioned. Workers organize, demand better conditions, better pay, better safety. They want protection, want equipment inspected, want trained foremen, want compensation for injuries, want death benefits for families. The company refuses everything. Claims costs are already too high. Claims delays are unacceptable. Claims workers are replaceable. The workers strike, walk off. All of them, the work stops completely for weeks. The company panics, losing money, missing deadlines, facing penalties, but refuses to negotiate, refuses to compromise. Instead, brings in strikebreakers, immigrant workers, recent arrivals, desperate for any job, any income, willing to accept terrible conditions, willing to accept terrible pay, willing to die. The original workers see this, realize they're losing, realize they have no leverage, no power, no recourse. They return, defeated, accepting the original conditions. Nothing changed, nothing improved, nothing gained, except one thing. They burn buildings before returning, burn company offices, company housing, company stores, symbolic destruction, symbolic resistance, proving they have power, even if they can't use it, even if using it changes nothing. The company rebuilds, faster than before, better than before, uses insurance money, uses state money, profits from the destruction. The workers accomplish nothing, gain nothing, lose everything. This is labor relations in 1865 Massachusetts. This is power. This is injustice. This is America. The haunting begins immediately, even before the Central Shaft disaster. Workers report strange sounds, voices, moaning, crying, screaming, coming from deep in the tunnel, from worked-out sections, from collapsed areas. Some say it's wind, acoustic effects, the tunnel creating sounds, echoes, natural phenomena. Others know better. Know it's the dead. The workers buried in rockfalls. The workers drowned in floods. The workers sealed in collapsed sections, crying out, still crying, still suffering, still dying, over and over, forever. The reports intensify after March 1865, after Brinkman and Nash die, after Kelly is found strangled. Workers refuse to enter the tunnel after dark, refuse to work near where the three men died, refuse to go alone. The company dismisses this, calls it superstition, calls it cowardice, fires workers who refuse, hires replacements. The replacements report the same things, the same sounds, the same voices, the same presences. Paul Travers investigates, a cavalry officer, a mechanical engineer, a rational man, a veteran of Shiloh, seen combat, seen death, seen horror, but the tunnel frightens him. He writes to his sister, describes entering with Mr. Dunn, the tunnel manager, walking 2 miles in, stopping to listen, hearing groaning, hearing pain, unmistakable, undeniable, not wind, not acoustics, something else, something worse. He writes, I haven't been this frightened since Shiloh. Coming from a combat veteran, this is significant. This is real. This is terrifying. The bodies from the Central Shaft are different when recovered. 1 year in cold water should preserve them, should keep them intact, mostly intact, but these bodies show signs of struggle, of survival, of desperate attempts to escape. Their fingernails are broken, torn, bloody. Scratch marks on the raft, on the shaft walls, where they could reach, trying to climb, trying to escape, knowing they couldn't, knowing they were doomed, but trying anyway, because humans try. Humans hope, humans fight, even when death is certain, even when escape is impossible. The rescuers find this disturbing, find it haunting. These men didn't die quickly, didn't die peacefully, died slowly, died horribly, died knowing, died understanding, died screaming, probably. The rescuers don't talk about it much, can't talk about it. The images are too disturbing. The implications too dark, but they remember, can't forget, have nightmares for the rest of their lives. This is trauma, this is horror, this is the bloody pit. The American Society of Civil Engineers designates the Hoosac Tunnel an historic civil engineering landmark in 1975, 100 years after completion. The designation recognizes the engineering achievement, the technical innovations, the advancement of tunneling science. The press release mentions challenges overcome, mentions techniques pioneered, mentions the significance, barely mentions the deaths, a footnote, a statistic. 195 workers killed or seriously injured, 135 verified deaths, mentioned once, briefly, then forgotten. The focus is achievement, progress, engineering, not cost, not sacrifice, not death. This is how history works. This is how we remember. We remember success, forget suffering. Remember names of engineers, forget names of workers. Remember dates of completion, forget dates of death. The workers who died have no memorial, no monument, no recognition. Just a statistic in an engineering report, Just a footnote in a press release. Just a number. 195. Maybe more. We don't know. Don't remember. Don't care enough to find out. This is progress. This is achievement. This is America. Built on blood. Built on death. Built on forgotten sacrifices. The Hoosac Tunnel stands. Trains still run. Freight still passes. Every day. 8 trains per day now. Reduced from 40, but still operational. Still functional. Still serving. The tunnel works exactly as designed. Exactly as intended. Cost exactly what it cost. In money. In time. In lives. Worth it. Probably. Maybe. If you don't think about the cost, if you don't count the bodies, if you don't remember the names, but someone should remember, someone should count, someone should say their names, even if we don't know them all, even if records are incomplete, even if history forgot, we should try, should remember, should honor. The 195 workers who died building the Hoosac Tunnel, the bloody pit. They made modern railroad engineering possible, made modern tunneling possible, made modern America possible, with their lives, with their deaths, with their blood. We should remember, must remember, can't forget. February 9th, 1875. The first train passes through. 3 flat cars, 1 boxcar, 125 passengers. They make it through successfully. No accidents, no problems. The tunnel works, functions as designed. The train emerges at the western portal. Cheers erupt. Celebrations begin. The project is complete. 24 years, $21 million, 2 million tons of rock excavated, 195 workers dead, 135 verified deaths. The rest uncertain, bodies lost, records incomplete, families never notified. The official number is probably low. The real number is probably higher. Much higher. But 195 is the number history records, the number we remember. If we remember it all, the tunnel opens for regular service, 40 trains per day initially, Boston to Troy, New York, New England to the west, the crucial link, the economic connection, the engineering triumph, the bloody achievement. The legacy is complicated. The Hoosac Tunnel proved modern tunneling was possible, proved nitroglycerin could work, safely-ish, proved pneumatic drills could replace hand drilling, proved electric blasting was superior to fuses. Every technique, every innovation, every safety improvement, learned at Hoosac, paid for with Hoosac blood. Other tunnels learned from these lessons, applied these techniques, avoided these mistakes. Mostly. Later projects had lower death tolls, better safety, superior equipment, because Hoosac showed what not to do, showed what went wrong, showed what killed workers. The 195 dead bought knowledge, bought progress, bought improvement for future workers. Their families got nothing. No compensation, no recognition, no memorial, just death, just loss, just absence. But the tunnel still stands, still functions, still carries freight trains, 8 per day now, down from 40, but still operational, still serving, 150 years later. It is the longest active railroad tunnel east of the Rockies, an engineering landmark, a historic achievement, and a graveyard, an unmarked graveyard containing 195 souls, maybe more. We don't know all their names, don't know all their stories, don't know where they're all buried. Some are still in the mountain, entombed in collapsed sections, sealed behind rockfalls, lost forever. The mountain keeps them. The bloody pit keeps them. Forever.